Hello, welcome back to Bad Wit and Babbling. My name is Hillary, and today I've been given the prompt of things I'm terrible at, which is everything. Anyway, so I chose to do a self-portrait because I'm really bad at drawing people, and I talk about something that is very important to my life, and I'm gonna give you a little bit of a content warning that I do talk about mental health in this video, so let's get right into it. To be honest, I don't really remember a time where things in life made a whole lot of sense, and I don't mean that in a why are we here sense, but I mean that in a I would worry about everything, usually too much, and I would get stressed out about almost everything, especially going to school because I got picked on a lot, and I would stay up late at night thinking about the ways that things could go horribly wrong the next day, and it was really frustrating. And that was as early as grade school and middle school. So I was pretty young when I started realizing that I had anxiety. Now, I didn't know that it was anxiety at the time. And with the anxiety came depression, and I had so many things going right in my life that it didn't make sense for things to feel wrong. And I mean, I grew up in a beautiful home with two wonderful parents and a pony and dogs and cats and everything that a lot of people would consider to be quote unquote a great life. And I was always sad. I was really sad all the time. A lot of that had to do with being bullied a lot, and I think to a degree some of the bullying came from my life being so textbook great. But it was really isolating, feeling like I didn't have a whole lot of friends. I did have two really great friends, Tim and Kristen, and shout out to you two for helping me get through some of the worst parts of my life. When I went off to college, I was very hopeful that things would get better because I could have a chance to rebrand who I was and everything. And at first things did feel better. I was making friends and people didn't make fun of me and I wasn't bullied, and things were actually going really well between having friends in college and racing and having friends in racing, but it still ended up taking over, and the depression grabbed me pretty hard, and I found myself staying in my room and not going into class, and would spend days with the lights off in my room and not talk to anybody at all. I was in and out of the emergency room a lot with chest pains, and they would run an EKG on me and I'd throw an irregular EKG. They'd pump me with nitro and morphine and send me on my way, and I ended up having an echocardiogram and a bunch of cardiac stuff done, tests on my heart, and they thought I was having heart attacks, but really what I was having was panic attacks. Nobody ever suggested that it could be anxiety. To a degree, I do feel like the medical system failed me a little bit through college because I ended up dropping out because it was too hard and I couldn't cope with what was going on. I did talk to a couple of people at the walk-in clinic who thought I had depression, and they prescribed me some SSRIs, which do help increase your serotonin and should have helped, but I ended up being allergic to them, and I broke out head to toe in hives from them with a thing called photosensitivity, where when I would go outside, I would be broken out from the sun. Usually you would combat this by wearing extra sunscreen, but I'm allergic to sunscreen, so I could not combat it that way. And ultimately I ended up going off the meds and dropping out of college, trying to make things better for myself. Things didn't get necessarily better, and I was always stressed out and worrying about the future and worrying about tomorrow and lots of other things. In 2014, I started seeing a doctor in Milwaukee, and he ended up being the most amazing doctor I could ever dream of having, who his goal is for me to not need him. And he found some meds that worked really well for me. He diagnosed me with OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder, and bipolar disorder. I have bipolar type 2, which is not as extreme as bipolar type 1, I would say. And it's been an interesting journey since then. He told me that to watch out for feeling better and going off my meds because I feel better, and sure enough, I ended up doing just that. And this past year, I was off meds for 2018, and things didn't go great this year, or last year rather. A lot of things happened to make 2018 probably the worst year of my life, and come November, I had new symptoms. I started showing signs of psychosis, and it was really scary. I had 2 types, depersonalization and derealization. Derealization is losing touch with the world around you, and depersonalization is losing touch with yourself. And it was really scary. When having derealization, the best way I can describe it is almost feeling like my head is stuck in a fish tank. Everything feels either muffled or like far away, and sometimes when that happens, sounds become really sensitive, and the lightest of sound can hurt my ears. With the depersonalization, it disconnected me from time. Like, I didn't know how long I knew somebody, if it was 5 minutes or a year. I didn't know how long things were taking, and I understand some people are like, oh, I lost track of time. It's nothing like that. Another weird thing that happened during depersonalization is that I would become hypersensitive, where like my hands just resting on my chest felt like they were crushing my chest, and like any elastic on my body felt like it was cutting me in half. It was really weird and really scary. When people think of OCD, a lot of times they associate the hand washing, the compulsive cleaning. For not everybody it's like that. For me, I have obsessions, which usually are unwanted thoughts that come into my brain that are very intrusive, and to get them to go away, I end up counting and trying to drown out the compulsion that's coming to my brain, which is usually everybody hates me, or somebody hates me, or something terrible that I've come up with on my own. Sometimes it's an obsession with a conversation I just had, where it's like the short-term, long-term filter in your brain doesn't work properly, and it gets stuck in like a circle where it keeps going and going and going instead of filing into short-term or long-term memory. Another compulsion that I often do that I have gotten a lot better about is skin picking, where I will pick at the skin on my face until the point that I bleed. My skin is starting to clear up finally. I am picking far less. I used to pick a lot. I would spend hours in front of the mirror picking at my face. Now with bipolar type 2, I never reach full mania, which is the euphoric, everything's wonderful and brilliant. But I do get stuck in the I can't sleep, where I'm up for 96 hours and I'm bawling because I want sleep so bad. I'll also hit these depressive episodes afterwards that I just want to do nothing but sleep, or nothing but leave a room that's dark, and I just stay in there, and I don't want to talk to anyone. I don't want to respond to text messages. I don't want to go outside. I don't want to leave a room, and it can be really frustrating sometimes. Also, when I get stressed out, sometimes I have psychosomatic reactions, which if you don't know, can sound kind of scary, but it's not that bad. The worst that happened to me has been like I'll get a rash. So like I'll be stressed out and then all of a sudden my stomach's broke out in hives. Another psychosomatic reaction I'll have is my face will go completely numb, where I'll be like touching my face and I can't feel it, and it's like somebody pumped me full of Novocaine or lidocaine, and it's just a psychosomatic reaction to being stressed. So there's nothing actually wrong with my nerve causing me to not feel anything in my face, or a stroke or anything like that. It's just my body reacting to stress in a not positive fashion. I have been back on meds since November. It is February now. Things do seem to be getting better over time. It's still pretty frustrating sometimes. I still end up having depressive episodes, more manic episodes where I can have a problem sleeping, and sometimes those are pretty good. I'll feel more motivated and I'll clean my office and I'll get things done, and it can be beneficial. I do find myself obsessing less and counting less, which is good. I'm not having as many unwanted intrusive thoughts, which is really good. I do think it's very important that even if you don't think you have anxiety or depression or any reason to go visit a psychiatrist, I do think it is beneficial to get at least a yearly checkup with a mental health practitioner, because we go see a physician for our bodies to make sure our bodies are doing well, but we aren't taught to go see a psychiatrist to make sure our mind is well. And I think it would be beneficial if society would start destigmatizing mental health and start taking more care of its mental health. Thank you all for watching, and